Hey there, good morning. Today we're going to go through replacing the windshield on my project Jeep here. I made a mistake and I broke the windshield when I was painting this. Those are the struggles you have when you're doing your own repairs. But I'm going to take you guys through the process of how I'm replacing a windshield. It's fairly easy. If you need part one, how I got to this point where the windshield is removed, that'll be linked in the description below. Let's get to it. Here I've got the gasket on the inside. There is my new windshield. There's the gasket for the outside. And over here, these are the essential things we're gonna need. This is just a little bit of weather strip gasket adhesive. I'll show you the use of that. This is the auto glass urethane windshield adhesive, thick stuff. And then some primer for it as well. So it's really not that hard of a process. I'm gonna take you guys through all the tips and tricks from when I did this last time. The point I'm at right now, my windshield is off. The frame on the inside here is all clean and dry. Got all the old adhesive off. If you have any rust, you gotta take care of that as well. Sand it down, get some primer on it, just get it protected. So first up, we're gonna put this inside gasket on first. And to do that, I'm gonna use this weather strip gasket adhesive. And this just kind of helps hold that interior gasket on because they have a tendency to kind of want to try to fall away from the frame a little bit. And I've got just enough, I think, to get this one last windshield done, so I'll get a little tiny bead of it around here. Oh boy, barely got enough out of that to get a thin little bead on the inside here. It's like squeezing the last bit of toothpaste out of the tube there. But we got enough, and that just kind of helps keep this gasket in place. So when you put your windshield frame back up there, this gasket isn't like falling down in any areas. Now we're going to put this gasket on so that the larger lip goes on the back side here. And with a little bit of smoothing it out, I ended up with a little too much gasket there, like it was bunched up in one area, so just had to kind of make sure it was all evened out everywhere. And then we want to roll back so that the inside edge here is making good contact with the inside of the windshield frame. Now the other thing I'm doing is I am warming up my windshield adhesive. This stuff is thick and it can be really hard to get out of the caulking gun. So warm it up a little bit. We don't want to get it hot, but I'm just putting it in front of a space heater here just to heat it up a little bit, make it easier on myself. Okay, now we're gonna dry fit it in place because we don't want to get all the adhesive in there and then find out we've got some issues. So I'm gonna grab that side up. Now you're gonna reach underneath and then grab it and then just kind of center it as you're setting it down, pretending that there's like adhesive there. And then we'll just make sure the gaps are all even around the sides. Perfect. Next, I'm going to use my 3M windshield adhesive primer. I'm going to put this on the inside of the frame here. I'm also going to put it on the back of the glass. I want to shake it up real well, use gloves, wear eye protection. This just helps promote adhesion of the adhesive. My tube of adhesive is warm, so now I'm going to actually switch my little space heater over to right here to start warming up this gasket. This is the gasket that's going to go on the outside, and it's just a little firm. I want it a little bit softer. Now let's open up our adhesive, and warming this up really helps out a lot. You poke a big old hole in here. And we can lay our bead of adhesive. I'm going to lay a pretty thick layer. I'm actually going to use this whole tube because we want the adhesive to be up past the level of our gasket on the inside there. Stuff is pretty thick. Warming it up certainly helped. Got a good caulking gun here. You can get by with a little cheapy caulking gun, but this one has a little bit bigger handle, which definitely makes it easier. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that bead of adhesive all the way around. Didn't quite use the whole tube. Maybe it's overkill a little bit, but it's not like I can save it and for the next windshield. Yeah, it smells bad. But this is the real deal. The adhesive is down, so try not to touch it. No, just don't touch the glue and you'll be okay. And the outside is pointing out, so we got it correct. Now when we're gonna lay this down, just try to make it even back and forth, and you have like a little gap like that on your side as well. Okay, so just underneath, and then as you set it down, just try to do it as even as possible. And just gently set it there and you can let go. Now I'm gonna go around and just kind of move it a little bit. Make sure it's centered. What do you think?
Looks good.
Looks better than it did before.
Yep.
With the big crack in it. Just a couple little spots of adhesive. A wipe up that I got on the frame that I think will show. We do have that trim piece to put on. So let's do that now before this dries. So I had it warming up over on the heater there. We're gonna start at the bottom in the center. And this really only goes in one way. And I'll end up putting like a few weights on this or a couple little clamps. Sometimes this gasket can try to bubble up on you a little bit. It's kind of pushed over on me here. When I was putting that side of the gasket in, it kind of pushed the windshield up a little bit, made this side hard to get in, had to kind of lift it up a little bit, but now it's going in just fine. And then I'll push it all down, square it up. I started at the bottom of the frame. So that's where I want this gasket to end up, or the seam on the gasket to end up on the bottom. Little metal bracket here. I'm just trying, kind of doing some finishing touches, going along, making sure it's just even on both sides. Then I'm going to get some weights on it because it naturally just kind of wants, because of those gaskets and the adhesive, it just wants to kind of push it up a little bit. I'm going to put a few blocks of wood and some weights on it while it dries. I know during part one of this video series, I was debating of just doing this with the windshield frame on the Jeep versus taking the whole frame off. And honestly, in hindsight, now that it's done, it's going to be drying, I'm very glad that I took it off because now I can put these weights on it, get it sucked down nice and tight so there's not any bulging areas, any gaps or anything. Just gives me a little more freedom to put some weights and clamps and things on it. So I'm really happy with how the windshield is setting down in there. It's flush with the frame, the gasket. That finishing gasket looks like it's down nice and even everywhere. So there's probably a better way to do this. I've got weights and clamps all over, but honestly, I'm happy with the end result. All of these products I'm using are linked in the description below. Check those out. Leave a comment as well. Let me know if you do anything different. Glad I took it off the Jeep. Thanks for watching.